Shalom, family. On this channel, we often address some of the imbalances and nuances within various issues of the faith. And I believe that the ability to navigate and incorporate nuance is itself a missing element in a skill set among the community of believers. And the lack of it distorts our ability to walk in truth and in grace. The issues that we are usually dealing with are not simply just black and white. Okay, there are different complexities and layers to things that call us to move beyond just having a rigid way of thinking and handling things. Nuance is the ability to be able to perceive those subtleties, those distinctions, to see things as both and instead of just either or, right? To see that sometimes two different things can be true at one time, right? So Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7 reminds us that wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding. So true wisdom enables us to be able to navigate through life's complexities with discernment, much like Yahusha, who he was able to balance compassion and obedience. For example, when he healed on the Shabbat, right? He saw the heart of the law rather than just its letter, right? So, but without nuance, we fall into these extremes. We go from one far end of the spectrum to the opposite, right? We can end up in legalism or on the opposite extreme in lawlessness, right? And also we risk being deceived by false arguments, right? We fall into a lot of false arguments and logical fallacies because we don't take into consideration nuance. For example, some people have argued that salvation, for example, is by faith alone, right? And they'll go to Ephesians chapter 2, verse 8 and 9 and argue that salvation is by faith alone. Right, and then somebody else will come and they'll insist that salvation is by works. Right, then they'll go to James chapter 2, and they'll cite that and argue that, see, faith is by works alone. Right, so but without critical thinking and context and applying nuance, these two things appear to be contradicting each other. Right, and I see that a lot where people will say that two different things are contradicting each other, but in truth, they harmonize, right? They harmonize. So like in this example, faith is the root of salvation and works are the fruit of it, right? So faith is at the root and works are the fruit that comes forth from that faith, right? So it's a whole thing that's working together in salvation. So two things can be true at the same time, right? So that's where nuance comes in. Nuance helps us identify those type of truths and avoid just oversimplifying things and ending up in error. So many people end up in error because they couldn't see other angles beside the one that they've become accustomed to, right? So being dogmatic, having a rigid adherence to rules, it blinds us to the Spirit's guidance and wisdom. Right, and it divides the community unnecessarily. So Yahusha rebuked the Pharisees for focusing in one verse in Matthew 23. He rebuked them for focusing on certain details while neglecting justice, mercy, faithfulness, the weightier matters of the law. Right, and I love this verse because he said that they should have did one without neglecting the other. Right, there was the harmony that could have taken place between it. You have to take everything into consideration, right? So to break free from this mindset, we have to seek the Spirit's guidance, right? We have to pause and reflect before we react to things. We have to ask deeper questions. We have to recognize that we have our own biases in our own places where we have limited understanding. James 1 verse 19 teaches us to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. And these are essential traits for cultivating a healthy mindset that's able to navigate nuances, right? So nuance brings spiritual maturity, and honestly, it's really just an academic way of saying to walk in the Spirit. The Spirit is like wind, it's like water, it's fluid, it's able to flow into all the crevices. But a solid object doesn't have that same flexibility. An object is rigid, and that's how we are when we operate in our flesh. We're rigid, we're limited. But the wisdom of the Spirit, it deepens our understanding of Yahuwah, who He is, His mind, His ways, and it empowers us to be able to judge righteously according to His justice and His love. And we are called to be righteous judges as the children of Yah and as co-heirs and rulers with Messiah. So walking in the Spirit is a must. And it frees us from the chains of this black and white thinking, and it equips us to engage with truth in all of its different layers and complexities. So if you think about it, consider for yourself, what areas have you possibly oversimplified your faith or your judgments on certain matters, right? And just pray to the Most High that your mind will be renewed according to the Spirit of truth. The Spirit of truth with wisdom and grace, and embracing nuance as a tool to be able to esteem the Most High Yah and be a vessel of His love, His light, and righteous judgment in His kingdom and His family, because we're a family. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So until next time, family, may the Most High bless you and continually renew your mind in Messiah Yahusha. Shalom, shalom.